Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
Maybe I should have killed 400 or 500 people, then I would have felt better.
People say Ted Bundy didn't show any emotion. There must be something in there. I showed emotion. You know what people said? See, you really can get violent and angry.
Welcome to the Squonk the Hag, a podcast about murder, mystery, the supernatural, and even a conspiracy or two.
Dun, dun, dun.
My name is Mo.
And I'm Kraken.
Is joining us to tell us all about something a little magical.
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
And now we have a voice to put with the name that makes me say the difficult names.
I mean, I can't help it.
You know what we need to do?
What?
we need Krako and I need to make a story, and it'll probably be completely fictional, but just make you have to pronounce really, really crazy stuff. Just
Are we, I mean, if you want, we can just, have a segment where I'll read like 5 or pronounce 5 words from the dictionary starting with the letter A, and then we'll just see what happens and when we get to the end of the dictionary.
That's a long time.
Exactly.
That would be a very long episode.
Plenty of content. No.
Right?
No, you're not surprised that I'm saying 5 when I can only count to 4? Okay, you right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's why I'm not allowed to participate in the guess the number of objects in this jar challenges anymore, because I'm just like, at least 4, and then technically I'm not wrong, but they still don't let me win and they make me leave. Anyway.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how I got involved in the podcast is I was one of Krako's, how should I put it, people that would scare the pants off of him with different stories I would find in pictures and stuff. And when we started kind of talking about doing the podcast after that first initial live stream, I was like, yeah, I'll help out. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. Why I'm friends with Krako, I'm still not quite sure. He's a good little squid, so I guess that's probably the reason. But yeah, no, I met him through a Minecraft community that he and I were both a part of, and started watching his streams, and then just kind of went from there. I know. Whatever will we do?
You're slowly discovering my secrets.
Slowly?
Yes.
I mean... It's no mystery that here on the Squonk the Hag podcast, we deal with the weird, the unexplainable, and the macabre. From ghosts and goblins to horrors living next door or buried underneath our feet, we explore them all.
And one of them is a co-host.
I know, right? It's great.
And Krako just mutes his mic, leaves the call, walks away, quits the podcast.
Mm-hmm. I will say, to elaborate a little more on how I lure people in, You see, I have to like sit very still. That way I can focus. Like all the blood will go back to my head. You know, like squatting helps because then, you know, if you cut off circulation to your legs, then more brain power and you can focus on luring people closer. You can start to form sentences
Huh.
and putting words together. And you can slowly lure people in because you have a little more brain power to, you know, make it sound like you know what you're talking about. And then when they get close enough, then you're just like, haha, you're my friend now. We're having soft tacos later.
You say this and you're like, make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. And then I listened to those words. And squatting does not make you smarter, Kraken.
I know.
Exactly. I don't have to do that right now because I already trapped both of you. I don't have to sound like I know what I'm talking about anymore.
Okay, fair.
So that's why in Minecraft you always crouched whenever you were near a new person.
Exactly. I was trying to work up a sentence. I didn't have enough oxygen and there was not enough blood in my brain. I had to crouch to, you know, cut circulation off on unimportant parts of my body that I could just, you know, I need this for brain power.
I just imagine you walking into a room and like walking up to somebody and then like squatting down and then standing up being, "Hi, I'm Kraken."
The joke's on you. I have to squat outside before I get into the room because I can't figure out how to open the door. It says push, but I don't know what that means. I don't know how to operate this. I've been pulling on this door for like hours and it won't open. I have to squat outside to get someone to let me in first.
And then you get arrested because people think you're squatting to poop.
It's like, oh, he's just chilling on the corner. Let me go closer and make sure he's all right. And then joke's on you. That's how I got you. Then I can say, can you hold the door, please? And then I can stand up and walk in. And then phase 1 is complete.
If I ever see you like across a room and you're wearing a tracksuit and squatting, I do not know who you are.
You know, I entered a competition one time where like I almost like the grand prize was like a custom tracksuit that was like emerald green.
What kind of contest was that?
I wouldn't worry about it. It's fine. There was also a gold chain involved with this suit. Anyway,
I'm leaving.
That's understandable. You just look outside and then there's just me squatting on the sidewalk outside trying to figure out how to get in.
We've been recording for what, 2-3 minutes tops, and Mo's already gone.
Welcome to how we record.
Yeah, last week was the record, I think, because it was literally the first sentence out of his mouth and I was like, I'm leaving.
Yes.
So he got one thought in this podcast.
Yes.
Hey Ranger, welcome to the show.
I know, right? It's surprisingly like D&D night.
Oh no.
Hey Mo, you wanted to join, and your first experience in D&D night with us is me as the DM.
I know, and I realize that I have this like intricate backstory, and you know, I've been thinking about all of this stuff, and you're like, what's a dice?
Why was that accurate?
Because it is so accurate. You're like, wait, which one's the 20-sided die again?
Mo's over here with the custom dice tray, the elf ears, the minifig, the concept art, the touching backstory, and I'm like, dice go burr.
Well, I will say the backstories for the two campaigns. So for anybody who doesn't know, I joined the D&D group with Krakow, Ranger, and a bunch of other friends, and Krakow and Ranger switch on and off DMing, and I have like, it's the same build. So like they're both of them are elven rangers, but their backstory, their physical description, their armor, all that kind of stuff is going to be different. And for the one for rangers, I cried, and for the one with Krakow's, I'm like, I can't use big words.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I have not come up with a backstory for my character in that campaign.
I did it mostly just for practice, but I've played other tabletop RPGs, but I've never played D&D. So I'm like, okay, I want to learn this game. I want to get in here and, you know, do it right.
You see, this is how you educate Krakow, because now you saying you're not wanting to put big words in it for my sake. I'm just like, now I just want to go buy a thesaurus and make the most complicated descriptions I can with words no one's probably ever even heard of.
Kraken, you know there's a website, thesaurus.com.
I said what I said.
It's free.
You know that there are actual like generators for describing things out there, right, Krakow?
I said what I said.
I'm just saying.
I didn't know that. I can quickly go to Google.
I will send you a link after we're done recording, okay? I promise.
Why didn't I know about this before? Who's keeping these things from me?
You never asked.
Fair enough.
We're just surprised you know how to use a computer at all.
I mean, he's probably technically on his like flip phone, like his little Peppa Pig thing.
I have modified the Peppa Pig phone.
The Peppa Pig
Yes.
PPO6. Now I'm pretty sure like if he would share a video, the Peppa Pig phone has like all these wires coming out of it, and there's like jumper cables clipped on the sides and like smoke coming out of it.
You see, I would do that just for the memes, just, glue a bunch of wires to it and everything. But if the wrong person sees that, that might look a little suspicious. and I don't want to be a part of I don't want to be the recipient of a free watch from the FBI. I don't want to get put on the watch list.
Krakow tried to build
Krakow,
a bomb with a Peppa Pig
You
phone.
already are.
You right? So you're saying I shouldn't glue a bunch of wires to the Peppa Pig phone and go to the local FBI office and say, "Can I get my free watch now?"
Probably not. No.
Krakow is now on yet another FBI list.
One of many.
I'm gonna see
is
how
what
many
it
I can
is.
get on.
I'm pretty sure you're on all of them, Krakow.
World record watch list speed run. Let's go.
So today we are talking about fairies. Particularly, we're talking about what I term, and I think some other people term, the little people phenomena. I know that might be a little bit insensitive wording, so there's not a whole lot of other adjectives to describe it. Basically, it's a phenomenon that happens all throughout the world, where there are a bunch of usually supernatural entities that are small in stature. One of those, of course, being fairies. Over the years, no other phenomenon has actually caught my interest more than this. Usually when people describe fairies, they describe them as small, diminutive creatures flitting to and fro among wildflowers, dancing on gossamer wings, singing haunting songs that float on the breeze in the wee hours of the morning, as the dew settles and the light begins filtering through the trees.
See, you know what I think of when I think of fairies?
What?
The ones from the labyrinth that bite her.
Yeah, that's going to be more along the lines of what we're going to be talking about today in some cases.
But-
Really?
But Mo, are you familiar with the tooth fairies from the Hellboy series?
Have you ever seen the labyrinth, Kraken? I feel like we watched that one together, didn't we?
Moving on, Ranger. What you were saying?
Which I'm surprised by he hasn't seen, considering it's a horror movie.
It's on my list, my ever-growing list.
I thought we did labyrinth as a movie night. Or is that one of the ones you bailed on?
If we ever get...
I'm thinking of a completely different movie. No, we saw that one.
The one with David Bowie.
Yeah, no, we saw that one. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, the movie starring David Bowie's crotch.
Yes.
Yeah. To be fair, when I heard Labyrinth, I thought of Pan is what I was thinking of.
Pan's Labyrinth. I've seen that as well. Labyrinth is one of my favorite movies. Anyways, moving on.
Just so you know, there is an RPG about it. Anyway,
I know. I was looking at it.
For some reason, I was actually thinking of Pan's Labyrinth. I don't know why I added another word to the beginning of Labyrinth and
Because you're you.
what you were talking about. But anyway.
so everyone, or well, most everyone, has heard of Tinkerbell. And when you ask most people what they think of when they hear the term fairy, that is usually what they say. It's their Tinkerbell. But that's only part of the story. Contrary to popular belief, the fairy we all conjure in our minds is only one kind of these creatures. And boy, do they run the gambit. From little good-natured tricksters to malevolent entities hell-bent on hurting you, and everything in between. Or both at once, depending on their mood. So, what are these fae creatures? What is their history? And why are we so fascinated by them?
And why you should never say yes if they ask if they can have your attention.
Exactly. I can answer some of those questions, but you'll have to form your own opinions. Come along as we dive into this weird world and ask the age-old question: what came first, the fairy or the spoiled milk?
What?
Hey, what? I'm sorry, what?
In fairy lore, if you don't give them things, they start doing things to your livestock and your crops. In some traditions. One of those was either spoiling milk or making it to where the cows didn't produce milk because the fairies were taking them.
This is why I keep a piece of silver in the shape of a cross in my pocket at all times. I'm not messing with the fairies. It works on vampires too because of the cross shape, but you know.
If you anger a fairy in Iceland and then the Yule boys come around and the one tries to drink the milk straight out of the aminal, does that mean you're going to anger the Yule boys too because they're going to drink spoiled milk straight from the...
Potentially. But that's also crossing cultural wires.
Okay, but if we say that it's not crossing wires, would we eventually just have like a big battle between all mythical creatures?
No, because they would all hate you and then be fine after they got done with you.
Fair enough.
It's you versus all of them, and you ain't gonna win.
But you were about to say something about the silver? Did I make a mistake?
I mean, a cross is probably a good thing.
I thought silver was for werewolves.
Silver is for werewolves, slightly vampires. From what I understand, iron is the best thing against
I don't know why I was thinking silver. I was just about to say it's iron, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Anyway, I have my protection against vampires and werewolves. I'm all right now. Just to get a piece of iron and just to carry a cast iron skillet.
I'm safe from vampires because I really love garlic.
I mean, same.
It also keeps people away from me, which is nice.
Yeah, that's true. So before we continue our little deep dive here, I want to kind of make some terms clear. I have my own biases and reasons why I term certain things as falling within the Fae realm. Now, this falls into a simple rule, kind of summing everything up. If they are humanoid, exhibit magical abilities or properties, they revolve around nature or being outside human society, i.e. seen in graveyards, and they don't come from here, as in this physical plane, then they are Fae. It's kind of a wide net, and it can include a bunch of different things, because a lot of different phenomena can fall into this. I'm human, and I don't claim to know much of anything, and so I am liable to make a mistake, take things out of context, and be insensitive towards things in an unwitting manner. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please write into the show or interact with us so that way we can try and rectify whatever we, or I, messed up on. Now, with that being said and that out of the way, let's get right into it. Just what are the Fae? So the term fairy originates within the Middle English word fairy, as in spelled Faerie, as well as a bunch of other different spellings. Some of them have Y's, some of them have I's instead of A's, which are all borrowed directly from the Old French, which is how we term it today, actually, as fairy, Faerie. In Middle English, the word meant either enchantment, the land of enchantment, or the collective noun for those who dwell within fairyland. In modern English, the term went from fairy with an IE at the Y and fae with an AE turned into fae with an AY.
Is there a reason why it did that? Or is it just like the way America was like, well, we don't want to be British, so we're going to take letters and change them. So like color,
yeah,
COLOR or COLOUR.
I think I'm going to be that person and start spelling things in the old English way. So town is now going to have an E on the end of it.
Yeah.
Wherever I want to put an E at the end of whatever word, I'm going to put an E. And
Crackety.
It's Crocken to you, and those are limited edition.
Crackety. Crackety.
So I would say that, yeah, it's probably a bit of that. If you actually, I've actually read some old post-revolutionary, but before the Civil War, namely Lewis and Clark's journals. it's hard to read, and that's because they spelled it however they felt like it should be spelled. So like random words would have an extra I, or it would be just slightly different. And I think a lot of this actually came about with the standardization of the English language. So when you're teaching English, you have to do it a certain way all across school, so that way everyone knows what you're spelling. There is also another form of this word that actually originates in the Persian language. It's called, I believe it's pronounced Paris. It's Peris. Now, it's either Paris or Paris.
Yes, Paris. Wonderful city.
Anyway, I knew you were going to do that. Anyway,
I love
Ratatouille. So now these beings were depicted as angelic. They were mentioned in antiquity in pre-Islamic Persia as early as the Achaemenid Empire.
The Arachnid Empire, yes, back when things were terrible and there were spiders everywhere, yes. Anyway.
Did the Arachnid Empire have abacus chairs?
Probably.
How did you know? Had great leg support. Yeah.
I'm not going to go down
The
that
Abacus
rabbit hole.
Empire, yes, in Paris.
The Paris were later described in various Persian works in great detail, such as the Shahnameh by Ferdowsi. A Peri, which is the singular term, was illustrated to be fair, beautiful, and extravagant nature spirits that were supported by wings. This imagery may have influenced migratory Germanic and Eurasian settlers from or going into Europe, or it could have been transmitted during the early exchanges. The similarities could also be attributed to a shared Proto-Indo-European mythology, which when you do a deep dive into ancient languages, there is a whole family tree of languages called the Indo-European languages. English and other Romance languages are also part of this family. Older branches of this language family include Celtic, which would be Gaelic, Balto-Slavic, Italic, and Germanic, as well as Indo-Iranian.
Guys, I can speak Italic. I'm speaking Italic right now. You can't see it because I don't have my camera on, but like I'm saying this while I'm leaning sideways.
Is there a way, I think in Discord, if I just right click on Kraken's picture, I can mute just him, right?
Yeah. This leads scholars to suggest that if this language tree exists, then there must have been a Proto-Indo-European language as well, which lends credence to the mythological origins of beings like fairies. Now, this is all well and good, but I still haven't gone over what exactly is a fairy in the literal sense. Simply put, a fairy is a denizen of the land of the Fae or Otherworld. What we see when we picture a fairy is actually more like a pixie, at least in my opinion. Pixies are very small with dark hair and skin tone, and they have butterfly wings. They are very small, maybe 2 or 3 inches tall. A lot of people will argue that fairies have wings, usually dragonfly or moth wings, and are about 6 or so inches tall. So there's some slight differences there. They are still small humanoids, however. Usually,
Joke's on you. I don't think of that whenever I think of fairy. I just think of Tinkerbell.
Correct, which is the fairy that I was just describing, Krakow, which is 6 or so inches tall with dragonfly wings and,
Welcome to the podcast where Kraken always
Excuse
pays
me,
attention.
you just said dark hair. Tinkerbell is blonde.
pixies have dark hair and skin tone, and they have butterfly wings. I was about to get to the description.
I was
of
testing you.
collective.
It's fine. I knew this.
Fairies are more, they have usually light hair and light skin, usually. Now, I don't personally think that there are a lot of major differences between the two entities, and I see them as almost the same. Their demeanor is almost identical by all accounts. They can be evil when provoked and nice when treated with respect. If anything, they're just closely related cousins than two separate entities. At this point, you might think that we might be just wrapping up, because I told you what a fairy is. yada yada.
Shortest episode ever.
Thank you all
But-
for watching. That is the
But we've barely scratched the surface here.
you said "bud" and "scratch" in the same sentence.
Can we mute?
There it is.
Can we just hit that mute button and then just it be you and me, Mo, for the rest of the stream?
Unfortunately, then we would miss him trying to pronounce words, and that's pretty funny.
That's true.
Oh, is there going to be a part where you're going to have me try to pronounce something? Oh no, I wasn't prepared. I didn't do my homework.
No, yeah, you're probably just gonna, try to count to 5.
That is way too high.
You want to impress people. You want people to know. And Krakow is now mad at me.
If you guess that there's more beings running around than just fairies and pixies, well, you were right. The little people phenomena, as I stated earlier, stretches across the globe. As we continue in the episode, I will be going into detail about just some of the creatures that are associated with this phenomena. So the first one, because it is where I cut my teeth on the paranormal, would be the good neighbors or the good folk.
Is it State Farm?
No.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
That's Farmers. State Farm is like a good neighbor. State Farm is there.
It's all some kind of farm. It's fine. It's fine.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Don't say that too loud, or else they'll show up in your house with a hot tub or something. Like, just
Wait, someone's gonna show up in my house with a hot tub? Does Bean know that this service is available?
it's fair enough. I need to inform Bean.
So the Irish call these fellows the good neighbors or the good folk, so as not to displease them. The Irish tell time and time again about how the good people are folks that, not unlike you and I, they are the size of a human, have the same hair as a human, eyes, ears, mouth, all the same as us. You could be talking to one of the good people and never know it. And that is until your cow stops producing milk or you suffer terrible misfortune. This is also where the changeling folklore comes from, at least as far as I can tell. These good people steal children. For what purpose? It is never said, and replace them with one of their own. Now, this has been attributed to, in recent times, how people have viewed birth defects and mental illnesses within children. It has also affected grown adults too. People who changed from a happy, driven individual to someone who wasn't and never seemed to get better was treated as an adult changeling, or that they had been led by the fairies. These days we know that what these people were suffering from was a mental illness, possibly depression. Now, I won't go into the more horrible stories of how you're supposed to tell if someone is a changeling or not. I'll save that for another episode.
Does this mean you're gonna research changelings? Cause they're scary.
Your
They
brain
are-
went to that. Meanwhile, I'm over here fearing for my life because Ranger just called me an experiment and is now saying he'll save how to identify a changeling in another episode. Next thing you know, he's going to show up to my house and be like, "We're doing that episode now. Come here."
Look, I gotta get notes somehow.
I'll let you two have fun with that, and yeah, Krakow, I think you and Ranger can do that episode. Just you two.
Wait, no, please help.
No, just you two. You guys got this. It's fine.
Wait, no.
So the Irish, and honestly all of the Celtic areas, are fraught with creatures that hail from the other world. The Nuclevi from Scotland is a horrible beast said to be the amalgamation of a man and a horse with no skin. The Selkie and the Kelpie also come to mind. The first mermaid of sorts, but instead of being half fish, she can shapeshift from a seal to a human, and you can trap her on land if you find innkeeper sealskin, also come to mind. The Kelpie is a horse that comes up from a body of water, and if you get on its back, it rushes back into the water, drowns you, and then eats you. And these are just some of the many entities that call the British Isles home.
So I have a question. Why are you just on the beach and you just see a horse just casually walk out of the depths of the ocean and you think, haha, it would be great if I tried to ride that thing?
Usually there's some sort of like enchantment with it that it compels you to get on the horse. At least
Honestly, That's me with every animal. It just something compels me to go pet it. I would probably go close to the horse if I saw one coming out of the water. I'd be like, is the horse okay? We good?
You know for a fact I would just run out with my arms outstretched going, baby!
And
Yes.
that's how we never heard from Mo again.
I mean, if I'm gonna go, petting an animal I shouldn't have is probably gonna be the way.
I mean, I quite literally almost followed a raccoon into the forest late at night because I thought it was a chunky cat. And then when I realized it wasn't, I started following it and doing the whole pss, pss, pss thing. So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
it wouldn't be hard for a fairy to kidnap me.
No. That's assuming that they would keep you in the first place, though.
They would realize their mistake as soon as they got me back home.
If that.
Honestly, I'm surprised that you haven't kidnapped yourself somehow,
Give it time. Give it time.
accidentally. Bobo comes home and you're like in the corner tied up and you're like, I don't know what happened. They kidnapped me. And it was just you.
I don't know what happened. I was going to have craft day and then suddenly there's glue everywhere and I spilled the glitter. I know you said no glitter. And next thing I know, I'm tied up in the corner and I don't know what to do.
I love glitter.
Absolutely abhor glitter.
Glitter.
Worst crafting invention ever.
I'll mail you a glitter bomb then. Got it.
Don't you dare.
It's so sparkly.
I'm mailing everyone a glitter bomb. Everyone's getting a glitter bomb.
Free glitter!
You say that until Wedge or Bubba gets their little paws on it, and suddenly you have to clean up glittery vomit.
Okay, the vomit is one thing, but like my house is pretty
It's
much
like a
covered in glitter at
rainbow.
all times because like I use it and then like days later Chris will be like, why is there glitter on your face? And it's like, glitter?
Yeah.
Because glitter.
Because glitter.
And staying in Europe for a moment, there is a creature residing in the harsh environments of Iceland and the Faroe Islands. These denizens are called Huldafolk, or the Hidden Folk. They are elves, and like the ones in Ireland, they are human in proportion, sometimes, with muscular builds and black hair. They are said to reside in rocks scattered throughout the landscape. And when I say rocks, I mean boulders the size of humans. They are considered benign from all accounts, though they do not like it when you mess with their things. Legend has it that a road construction was halted from going over Alfholsgiviger, or Elf Hill Road. I probably butchered that pronunciation. When the construction team met with resistance in the form of equipment malfunction. Namely, the big machines used to build the road would break down the next day after they had first gotten to the site, and would start up right after leaving the site for repairs. This is a story, though, and is thought to be an urban legend of sorts. However, that didn't stop people from believing in it. In 2015, an elf activist by the name of Jonsdottir joined in protesting along with environmental groups about a road going through an old lava bed. It is believed that the elves like volcanic rocks, and it is a more stable pathway between worlds, according to Jonsdottir.
Not to interrupt. Did you say an elf activist? Is that an actual thing?
Yes, it is an actual thing.
I'm not surprised. That's why I didn't question it.
Is that like a paid gig?
I don't think so. It's basically, at least from what I researched or what I remember researching, is that it's like environmental activist group that also does things for elves as well, because they're kind of one and the same.
That just sounds like elves and fairies disguising themselves as humans and becoming, quote, elf activists.
So I thought you just said Elvis.
Maybe I did.
You know, interesting thing, I've actually been to Tupelo, Mississippi, which is where Elvis is from.
My parents went to Graceland, and I think my mom died and went to heaven when she walked around there. They came, and after they got back, I had to sit and look through all the pictures with them as they told me about all the pictures, because that's what parents do. And I think my mom took thousands of photos of Graceland.
You know that it's supposed to be haunted, right?
I have heard that. I don't know the details of the story, but I have heard that it's supposed to be haunted.
I think it's the Jungle Room. I think it's what it's called. I think that people have seen the apparition of Elvis there at least once.
Isn't that old Wizard of Oz theme park supposed to be haunted too, or?
You mean the one you went to?
Yes.
No.
Okay, it's just a creepy abandoned park. Okay, I know there's a difference, but
from what I was reading, when you went, I went and researched it a little bit. It doesn't seem like there's anything weird about it. It just was abandoned for such a long time, and no one went up there other than thrill seekers. Because it was creepy.
I could not remember.
Yeah, and like anytime something's abandoned for a long period of time, it gets creepy.
Eventually, the road was actually moved, but officials said that it wasn't the elves or anything of the sort that made them change the direction of the road, but the actual rock in question, a huge basalt boulder, was unique in a cultural light, and so they moved the road. Because they would put offerings in front of the huge basalt boulder, because that's where the elves or the Huldafolk lived. So it's kind of a catch-22 there.
They literally made a movie about this, pretty much. Though it wasn't elves, it was trolls. But basically,
they're coming out with another one.
There's gonna be another one.
I think so.
Fair enough. Pretty much don't dig tunnels in troll territory, because you'll wake one up.
So in recent years, there have been surveys, though there are naysayers to this actual survey, that have stated that 46% of the people in Iceland believe in elves in some shape or form. The naysayers hold to the belief that because of the wording chosen for the surveys are asking leading questions or are not worded the best, it should be thrown out. Moving away from Europe and into North America, the North American continent is riddled with lore surrounding these entities. I will continue using the term Fae as an umbrella term, and it is by no means a way to diminish or belittle anyone's beliefs, or to Eurocentrize or whitewash these stories and histories that are not my own. In Cherokee stories, there are a race of beings called the Little People, or the Yunwe Junsti. I'm hoping that I got the right pronunciation for that. There's a lot to unpack with the Little People of the Cherokee. In appearance, they are small, about knee-high. They are always said to be very handsome or beautiful, and they have long black hair that almost touches the ground. Now, depending on who you talk to, and I don't know the veracity of this, but there are supposedly 3 different kinds of Little People. The Rock People, who are mean and take children, but only when they are threatened. The Laurel People, who are mischievous tricksters, but will do more good than harm. And the Dogwood People, who are the ones who do good and heal people. Each one has a different lesson to teach. The Rock People teach that meanness is not good and it will come back to you. The Laurel People teach us to not take life seriously and to enjoy the time we have. And the Dogwood People teach us to be kind out of the goodness of our hearts and to not do good for personal gain or obligation. I have seen this division before in some places, but as far as I'm aware, it is not within the general belief of these beings that they are divided in such a way. More than likely, the Yunwe Junsti have the ability to do all of this, and these categories or labels that have been put on them are a modern addition to the history of these creatures.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
My brain's a little stuck, because when you said how they had hair all the way down to the ground, all I could imagine are like little cousinets.
Yeah.
Totally not me picturing the same thing.
Just put some sunglasses on them.
So the Pukwudgies are a magical humanoid race of people that feature prominently in Algonquin folk. To different tribes, the Pukwudgie acts and looks differently. For example, in the Ojibwe tribes, they are described as a mischievous but mostly good-natured being that may trick people but rarely has malicious intent. The Wampanoag and many other tribes of New England know the Pukwudgie to be both a trickster and dangerous.
So I was just reading that first little bit there, and why was I just like, why does this sound like a nickname that Mo would give me?
My little Oh, Puckwudgie.
And why does the description kind of sound accurate for me? Because I skipped the part, my brain just skimmed over the part where it says to different tribes and was just like the Puckwudgie accent looks differently.
Is the Puckwudgie built differently?
Are we discovering that I'm actually not a squonk, but I'm a Puckwudgie?
So they are known to play tricks, but in some cases they will help out a human who has encountered them. If you wrong them or somehow offend them, they are known to steal children, commit acts of terror, and can even be deadly. They are short, about knee-high, and have large hands, stooping postures, and sagging shoulders. Some people say that they have shaggy, unkempt hair that reaches below their waist.
First of all, commit acts of terror? Excuse me. Did you just describe a small terrorist?
No, I think that what I meant by that was that they do things to scare people. That is,
they
like,
terrorize people.
Yes.
But that's not where my brain went when I heard they commit acts of terror.
My vote still goes that Krako's a Puckwudgie.
So are we no longer the Squonk and the Hag? Are we the Puckwudgie and the Hag?
You can be both.
Yeah, you can be both. You're a Puckwudgie who buzzed his hair.
Yes.
I don't know. I still think that the Squonk is probably a better fit.
Wow, Ranger just said I'm ugly and I cry all the time because of it.
The most miserable creature in the world.
Yeah, is he really wrong? Like, I mean, if we look at this objectively and we remove emotion and feelings, I mean,
Bruh. I see how it is.
We love you, Krakow.
I'm gonna spoil all your milk.
You can try. The Wampanoag story of the Puckwudgies is my favorite. In this tale, the Puckwudgies want to be as dear to the culture hero Moshop, and so tried to help the Wampanoag people to try to endear themselves to Moshop. This backfired, whether due to their mischievous nature or other misfortune, and the Wampanoag people entreated Moshop by way of his wife, Granny Squonnet, to get rid of them. He did this by gathering up as many as he could in his hands and throwing them all over New England, some say even as far south as Delaware. The Puckwudgies came back with a vengeance, however, and began burning villages, stealing children, and leading people astray in the woods in record numbers. Moshop sent his 5 sons to take care of the situation, but they were no match for the Puckwudgies in their magic and were ensnared and killed. Enraged, Moshop and Granny Squonnet went on a rampage against the Puckwudgies and slew as many as they could find. Some Puckwudgies survived, and these remnants are what are seen today all throughout New England. One of these days we'll get around to, I believe it's the Bridgewater Triangle, which is like a hot spot for these things. I'm looking forward to doing that one.
So you telling me someone just picked him up and was just like, yeet?
Basically, yeah.
can we do that to Krakow?
Boy, if I could count how many times that's been done to me, but I can only count to 4.
So it's been at least 4 times?
At least 4, yeah. One day
Anyway.
my actions will catch up to me, but I don't know, I'm pretty fast.
So next up we have the Duende or El Duende. It's a interesting creature. The stories of this entity can actually be traced from back to Spain and Portugal. The El Duende, or the Goblin, if my sources are correct anyway.
Is
ranges
that what
from-
everyone's been calling me whenever? I thought that was just my street name, El Duende.
The El Duende, or the Goblin, ranges from an elf-like creature to a spirit that dwells in your house to a forest spirit with a big hat that whistles a mystical tune that leads children astray. In Latin America, there are a few different views on the Duende. In Belize, they are said to be helpful and guide children out of the forest, and in some cases has been described as carrying or wearing dried palm leaves as some sort of hat. Sound familiar? In southern Mexico, they are seen as forest spirits. In the northern parts of Mexico and also the southwest of America, they are seen as spirits who dwell in your house, namely the walls of your house. And they have an affinity to walls of children's rooms. It is said that they also come out of the walls and clip the toenails of misbehaving kids, and sometimes they miss and take a toe with them instead of just the toenail. In the Philippines, they are spirits that are differentiated into 2 groups: the white duende, which are good, and the black duende, who are mean and evil. They live in forests, caves, homes, ant hills, and termite mounds. It is said to step on and crush an anthill or termite mound places a curse on you from the duende who live within. They are also known to play with children and seem to be only visible to them.
So if you destroy an anthill, then you could anger the spirit inside it?
Potentially.
I have angered so many duende then. It is unreal. Basically, they are at war with me at this point then.
I want to circle back to the small person who lives inside the walls and chops off toes in the night.
Specifically children's toes.
It's all fun and games until you're a misbehaving child laying in their bed at night and you hear something in the walls followed by, let me get them toes.
Yeah, we've gone from mythical creatures to serial killers.
All right, it's just a toe.
Mo, why are you worried? You're not a child, nor have you been misbehaving. Unless both of those things are false, then you should be worried.
Because I got enough true crime to follow. I don't need more added into the mix.
Okay, so the next one on our list is called the Menehune. The Menehune are small humanoids with appearances not unlike the Hawaiian people, and were said to be marvelous workers. Doing most of their building under the cover of night, these little people built homes, temples, fish ponds, roads, and the most famous of these is the Alakoko fish pond on Kauai, one of the islands that makes up Hawaii. Archaeologists estimate this structure to be around 1,000 years old. Above the pond sits 2 stone pillars. These pillars of stone are said to be a king and his sister, changed into these pillars by the Menehune, who saw them spying on them as they built the fish pond. They also never finished the pond because they were spied upon. Legends say that the Menehune were first brought to the island at the behest of the first king who settled the island. The king sent for the Menehune and brought them in. They came with their chief, their high priest, and eventually they ended up with 10 divisions of men and 7 women, each with their own particular skill. People say that they were real people, not mythological, and that they had engineering skills the likes of which have not been replicated to this day. Some people on Hawaii actually claim that they are descendants of the Menehune.
This just sounds like me. They like to build stuff out of clay and dirt, and they don't want human interaction, and so they do it at night when the humans are asleep.
Yeah, except for the fact that they have engineering skills, the likes of which haven't been replicated to this day.
Listen, if you give me a 2x4, a hammer, and some nails, I will give you engineering skills that still haven't been seen to this day. I can't, I'm not going to say it's structurally sound or OSHA approved, but it's going to be engineering skills never before seen.
You're not wrong, and it behooves me to say this.
One of the cool things about these stories is that it also states that they did it extremely fast. Some of these things were built within a night. So the next one we have on our list is called the Patapeera Ahi and the Mairo. The Patapari are supernatural beings in Maori mythology that are described as pale to fair-skinned with blonde or red hair, usually having the same stature as ordinary people and never tattooed. They can draw mist to themselves, but tend to be nocturnal or active on misty or foggy days, as direct sunlight can be fatal to them. They prefer raw food and have an aversion to steam and fire.
Don't most people have an aversion to steam and fire? I'm sorry, but
as in like fire and steam scare them.
I mean, same.
So the Parapiarahi can be hostile to humans, especially those who intrude on their lands. They are believed to live in forests in hilly or mountainous regions in large guarded communities, though their buildings and structures are invisible to human eyes. The music of their koahu and putorino, which are bugle flutes, along with their singing laieta, occasionally reveals their presence on foggy days. The music of these people is described as sweeter than any music the Maori could ever play. According to most traditions, the Maori are able to converse with them. These beings are found mostly on the North Island. The South Island has a different kind of spirit known as the Mairo. In Maori tradition, the Mairo or Mohau are supernatural people from New Zealand. They are sometimes described as giants or wild men of the woods and inhabit mountains and forests, particularly in the South Island. Tarara. Mairo are characterized as wild, malevolent, and often violent, carrying stone clubs as weapons. They are covered in dark body hair and have long, bony fingers with sharp fingernails. They kill and eat humans and other animals. The Mero are said to harbor anger against the Maori, who arrived from Hawaii and are thought to have displaced them and ruined the sacredness of their homes, forcing them to dwell in inhospitable alpine regions.
So these stories more and more it makes me just want to like, let's just go start a tribe in the middle of a forest somewhere and we'll just carry around clubs to bonk people with. Sounds like fun.
That sounds like the start of the forest.
Yes.
So the next one on our list hails from Japan. The Kijimuna are small wood spirits according to Okinawan mythology. The Kijimuna are said to live in trees, but the most common one is the Gajumaru, or the banyan tree. They are often described as being child-sized, with red hair covering their bodies and large heads. They are also known to be excellent fishermen, able to catch many fish, but then only eating one of the eyes of the fish before leaving the rest of it. The Kijimuna festival in Okinawa is named after them. Another name for the Kijimuna is Bungaya, which means roughly large-headed. So the Kijimuna are known to be very mischievous, playing pranks and tricking humans. One of their best known tricks is to lie on a person's chest, making them unable to move or breathe. This is known as kanashibari. Even though the Kijimuna are tricksters, they have been known to make friends with humans. However, these relationships often go sour. A Kijimuna may offer to carry a human on its back as it leaps through the mountains and over the seas. The Kijimuna, however, dislike people passing gas on their backs and will immediately throw the human off no matter where they were at the moment. The Kijimuna also apparently hate octopi, so...
I had another thought, and so that means I have a question for the both of you.
Oh.
When are we going to do a segment that's like Crocodile Hunter, but it's Skeeter goes cryptid hunting, and it's just me in the woods wandering around with a camera, and I'm just like, I know that Bigfoot feller's out here somewhere. I'm going to find him, and
You can start this anytime, Kracko. Just grab a camera, head out to the woods. Don't call me if you get lost. Don't call me if you need bail money. Have fun, give me the footage, and I'll throw it online.
I know that Bigfoot feller's out here somewhere. I'm going to collect a sample. I got my straight razor in the holster right here, and I got my Sasquatch bait on the other side here in a holster and a little plastic baggie. Feller sold it to me down the street. I don't know exactly what it is, but it smells awful.
I think you just bought a bag of poop, Kracko.
I forget the name of the show, but the funny thing is now that I say that, there's actually a show that's basically what I'm describing. It's people with accents like that are hunting cryptids.
Yeah, it's called Mountain Monsters.
There it is. That's what it is. I couldn't remember the name.
Oh, I was gonna say Duck Dynasty?
You're not 100% wrong. Okay, so the next one we have is called the Koropokur. They are a race of small people in folklore of the Ainu people of the northern Japanese islands. The name is traditionally analyzed as a tripartite compound of kor, which is butterbur plant, pak, which is under or below, and kur, which is person, and interpreted to mean people below the leaves of the fuki, or the butterbur plant. So the Ainu believe that the Koropokur were the people who lived in the Ainu's land before the Ainu themselves lived there. They were short of stature, agile, and skilled at fishing. They lived in pits with roofs made from butterbur leaves. Long ago, the Koropokur were on good terms with the Ainu and would send them deer, fish, and other game and exchange goods with them. The little people hated to be seen, however, so they would stealthily make their deliveries under the cover of night. One day, a young Ainu man decided he was going to see a Koropokur for himself. So he waited in ambush by the window where the gifts were usually left. When a Koropokur came to place something there, the young man grabbed it by the hand and dragged it inside. It turned out to be a beautiful Koropokur woman who was so enraged at the young man's rudeness that her people have not been seen since. Their pits, pottery, and stone implements, the Ainu believe, still remain scattered around the landscape. The next and actually last one on our list are called Yumbos. The Yumbos are the spirits of the dead that are completely of a pearly white color. They are supposedly from the Wolof people in Senegal, Africa. They are sometimes said to have silver hair. They stand about 2 feet tall, and the Yumbos live beneath the Paps Hills and come out to dance in the moonlight. They feast on large tables waited on by servants who are invisible except for their hands and feet. Yumbos eat corn, which they steal from the humans, and fish, which they catch on their own. They invite both natives and foreigners to their feasts. They are also called Bakna Rakna, or the good people. Now, there's some debate on these spirits, as the main person to write about these spirits was a white guy by the name of Thomas Kitely. But looking at other sources that I could find, there are lots of parallels between these Yumbos and other supernatural beings on the African continent. For all intents and purposes, from what I could find, these spirits are the spirits of dead relatives who dwell underground. As for the word Yumbo, it isn't an actual word, and it should be stated that the word passed through multiple white languages before being told to Kitely.
I mean, many of the words I say are also not words, but...
I mean, true. But that just about scratches the surface of the belief in these beings. And there are many, many more that I either don't know about or did not have time to research. And I'm honestly glad about that. If anything, this opens up many doors to questions about humans as a whole. Why do we continue to believe in these other peoples? What makes them so ubiquitous? Almost every culture in the world has some form of little people. So what are they? I can't really say. And that's the magic about it. We can sit and talk until we are old and gray, and we still won't have the answer.
So I think that's going to wrap us up for the night, wrap us up for the story. But one more time, thank you, Ranger. You know we love you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking over and reading the words that I don't know how to pronounce.
I know. It's a rare privilege that I have to try and pronounce things that I'm not usually used to pronouncing.
Yes.
Usually I have Krakow suffer through that for me.
And we love that you make him suffer. I mean, what? As always, make sure to check out our website for all the show notes, sources, and more information at thesquonkandthehag.com.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and bonk the notification bell to get alerts for new episodes and content.
All right, Krakow, you ready?
Okay, bye.